Exactly 30 years ago, South Ossetia faced a fateful decision, to be or not to be. On the 23rd of November 1989, our people showed the whole world there our desire to live in an independent country. The day when all the people, old and young, became a human shield of Цхинвал, the capital of the then South Ossetian Autonomous Region, where thousands of armed gangs of fascist Georgia spoiled for the fight too. Among the handful of young men who blocked the way to the enemy were students of the then South Ossetian State Teacher Training Institute. Today, those events are remembered by the students of the Specialty Foreign Languages of the South Ossetian State University, together with their lecturer Diana Kocheva.
For every resident of South Ossetia, November is associated with the events of the Georgian aggression of 1989. Then, under the pretext of holding a peaceful rally, a 1,000-strong convoy of Georgian demonstrators moved to Цхинвал. The confrontation lasted more than a day. Thanks to the fortitude and courage of our people, the enemy could not enter the town. 30 years ago, an event took place in South Ossetia that became fundamental in the history of our republic. Such events are called fateful. They change the course of history. They definitely contradict the logical development of the events, and they, of course, do not fit into geopolitical scenarios. This day, a day of courage and national unity, became the starting point in a series of events that led to the establishment of a recognized sovereign state, the Republic of South Ossetia.
For South Ossetian society, the 23rd of November is the beginning of the war of Georgia against South Ossetia. November 23, 1989 is the beginning of the struggle for freedom and independence, for national development, for our rights. It was not a surprise. The anti-Ossetian policy in Georgia by this time had become decisive and took on serious proportions, from historical falsification to domestic Ossetophobia. All attempts on the part of South Ossetia to change, to influence the growing aggressiveness of Georgia remained unsuccessful. In the morning of November 23, 1989, the inhabitants of Цхинвал began to flock to the road from Georgia. There was a feeling that this was not just an aggressive rally, no one doubted that, but it was a definite sign signifying a new format for Georgian politics. Then in South Ossetia, people didn't want to think that this was war. Then the problem was that the Georgian informal bands should not be allowed into the town. No one but our inhabitants could do this, and the inhabitants of Цхинвал have mobilized to defend their capital. The organizers themselves admitted that the rally was far from peaceful, and then the very establishing of the Georgian gangs in South Ossetia in places with a compactly living Georgian populations speak about this.
At that time, on November 23, everyone stood up to defend the city. It is amazing what the defenders of Цхинвал hoped for that day. An unarmed but self-confident group of young men managed to block the road and stop the enemy, which spread out later and began to beat stealthily, taking the civilians hostage, kidnapping, being mean and cruel on the roads, shelling at night. This day will never be forgotten, and as one of the South Ossetian politicians noted, this date in the recent history of our country, the Republic of South Ossetia, has not yet been appreciated by us. But it was exactly on this day, for the first time in many centuries, that it was not someone else's interest, other states, empires, Soviet power, etc., that were defended, but our own, our family, our city, our people, our Ossetia. It was on this day that the patriotic war of our people began.
The 23rd of November 1989 is the start date of open Georgian aggression against South Ossetia. Years later we achieved independence, but the path to freedom was long and thorny. Georgian aggression claimed thousands of lives over these long years. In August 2008, finally the bloody war ended, but many, unfortunately, did not survive and did not reach the day of the victory. We, in turn, will always remember those who gave their lives for the freedom of Ossetia and fell victim of Georgian fascism. Today's generation must appreciate the freedom and independence that has come to us at the cost of so many lives.